Welcome to CLMD Connect. In support to the Comprehensive Region-Led Learning Continuity Plan (LCP). I teach. Integrating technology academic community, the household. Ensuring every learner is safe and protected anytime, anywhere. Anchored on Sulong Idokalidad. This is DepEd Regional Office 11, delivering quality education across Davao Region.
We bring you the live updates from our monitoring teams, and to start our day, let us start with an opening prayer and our nationalistic song.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning po sa lahat po ng ating mga manunood, ng mga teachers and supervisors all over Davao Region. Ngayong araw po ang second day of monitoring of the direct implementation of the distance learning modalities or DLDM for school year 2020-2021. Kung saan ang ating mga monitoring teams ay pumunta sa field sa mga identified schools ng DepEd Region 11 para tingnan at bisitahin ang ating mga schools kung paano nga ba o kamusta nga ba ang kanilang dry run implementation ng different learning modalities. And to start, we would like to give due recognition, of course, to our Regional Director, Madam Evelyn R. Catalvero, and our Assistant Regional Director, Madam Maria Ines C. Asuncion, for spearheading this activity. And also for today, ang naka-schedule po na pupunta sa field ay ang team ni Dr. Roy T. Enriquez na naka-assign sa Davao City Division together with Dr. Danilo Arduino, Dr. Maflor J. Dingal, and Miss Janice T. Gamalo. And of course, another team is also scheduled to visit Davao de Oro Division. That's the team of Dr. Janet G. Veloso with her members, Mr. Renato Pakpakin, Miss Herminia Bantini, and the rest of the teams who are scheduled for the rest of the days this week. And today din nakaschedule ang team ni Dr. Pedalina Uevos kasama si Dr. Mary Jane M. Mejorada, Dr. Esida Despi, and Sir Leonidas Jimmy T. Hesoro na bibisita sa Davao del Norte Division. So sa ating mga schools sa Davao City, Davao de Oro, and Davao del Norte, please expect the presence of our monitoring teams na bibisita sa inyo. Kakamustahin po kayo kung kamusta na ang inyong implementation ng inyong different learning modalities. Okay, so kahapon nga po ay binisita ng ating monitoring teams ang iba't ibang schools ng Davao City Division. Pumunta po sa Ladian and sa Marilog ang ating monitoring teams at kahapon ay nakita natin or napanood natin kung ano yung preferred na learning modality ng ating mga learners sa Marilog at saka sa Ladian. And ang most preferred learning modality ng ating mga learners doon ay ang modular learning modality dahil sa kadahilanan na mahina ang kanilang internet connection, so they opted to use the modular. And of course, doon naman po sa Davao de Oro, pumunta po sa Site 4 Mangayon si Dr. Renato Pakpakin. Pumunta naman sa Nabunturan si Dr. Veloso, and sa Laak naman si Dr. Bantiding. And most preferred learning modality po ng ating mga learners doon ay ang RBI or Radio-Based Instruction, kung saan may special partnership po ang Davao de Oro Division sa Z Radio. Kaya naman, nagpapasalamat kami once again sa partnership ng Davao de Oro Division sa kanilang provincial government and LGUs. Okay, so congratulations and maraming salamat po for your continuous support sa programa po ng DepEd. And ladies and gentlemen, let us not forget that this activity is in line with the program of the Central Office, which is the Handang Isip, Handa Bukas. And the objective of this activity is to raise public awareness of preparations and opening of classes, to highlight positive developments and engagements of field units for the opening of classes, and to recognize the contribution of teachers, learners, parents, partners, and DepEd personnel in education continuity amidst the pandemic. So it's Handang Isip, Handa Bukas. Makikita po natin from Mondays to Fridays kung gaano nga ba kahanda ang ating mga schools sa pagbubukas ng klase ngayong August 24, 2020. And now, napag-usapan na rin natin ang distance learning delivery modality. Ating balikan kung ano-ano nga ba ang mga iba't ibang uri ng learning modality. So please watch this.
Laging handa. Laging handa. Bahatag tuyot sunog lindol bagyo. Mga kalamidad na likas sa ating mundo. Napapahamak ang buhay at kabuhayan.
maging handa, maging alerto. Tungkulin to ng bawat mamamayan. Kaya tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat-dapat na maging laging handa. Tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat-dapat na maging laging handa. Laging handa.
Kalamidad ay maaasahang darating.
Sa di inaasahang oras,
Kaya naman hindi na dapat hintayin. Unahan na habang di pa natataranta.
maging handa, maging alerto. Tungkulin to ng bawat mamamayan. Kaya tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat-dapat na maging laging handa. Tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat-dapat na maging laging handa.
Suriin mo mabuti ang iyong kapaligiran. Saan ka pa nakatira? Diyan ba ay bumabaha? Tuwing gamot, pagkain, kumot, pang sindi, first aid kit. Mga gamit panligtas ng buhay dapat mabitbit. At sakaling lumindol o sumabog ang bulkan, meron bang matagdaanan palayo sa kasawian? Panahon na ay malupit at ang hangin hagupit. Mabuti na lang na tayo ay laging nakahanda.
Tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat-dapat na maging laging handa. Tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat-dapat na maging laging handa.
This message was brought to you by the Department of Education with the support of World Vision Development Foundation.
These are the distance learning delivery modalities of the Department of Education. A. Face-to-face. This is an instructional method where content and learning materials are taught in person. This allows for a live interaction between the learners and the teacher. This modality may be used as a way of feedbacking or application of concepts, or checking the learning of the learners, or as assessment phase of any modality. This then be arranged and planned by the school management and teachers to ensure that the learning space is safe and the IATF DOH protocols are followed. B. Modular, or printed learning modules. This is a self-learning module, or SLM, in hard copies for the learners to read, answer, and accomplish at home. The learners shall be supervised or guided by an adult, other siblings, and family members. Teachers will commit at least 2 hours per day to track learners' learning. This modality is apt for vulnerable group of learners, especially those with special needs. C. School on Air, radio-based instruction, or RBI, through radio transmission and horn loudspeaker, or trumpa in Cebuano term. This modality caters the education of learners in remote areas. This is conducted by radio, via radio transmission, using airtime provided by the local and national radio broadcasting stations. Another viable approach is the installation of a horn loudspeaker in a community learning center or within the vicinity of the community where learners are situated, and corresponding pre-recorded radio script lessons are broadcasted. Learners shall be provided with SLMs for them to work on through the help of the parents, older siblings, and other family members. The same materials will be returned to the teacher for checking and feedbacking. D. Television-based instruction. This is teaching through the use of television or other visual media. The learners may view educational episodes or lessons on television at home. Lessons are featured through pre-arranged TV programs and aired according to time slots and grade level on a daily or thrice per week basis. Another viable approach here is the use of CD or DVD, wherein educational lessons are saved in a thumb drive or CDs or DVDs and are provided to the learners for viewing. Learners shall be provided with SLMs for them to work on through the help of the parents, older siblings, and other family members. The same materials will be returned to the teacher for checking and feedbacking. E. Offline. Offline. This is appropriate for learners who have access to appropriate learning tools such as desktop, laptop, tablet, or smartphone, but have limited internet connectivity or poor connectivity. Learners will be provided weekly digitized or e-copy of the self-learning modules or SLMs. The soft copy may be obtained using a USB flash drive, CD, email messages, repository platform of the LMS, and through a mobile app of the LMS. The learners and teachers have codes to access the LMS for protection and compliance with the Privacy Act. F. Online, synchronous and asynchronous. This is intended for learners with available learning tools such as desktop, laptop, tablet, or smartphone, and with strong and stable internet connection. The school LMS is the dedicated structure, and the Microsoft Teams or Google Meet will be the platforms for the learning engagement, where the teacher and learners can have screen sharing, text chats, and sending queries in real time. The school LMS is also used for posting of lesson presentations, content links, class activities, announcements, submission of outputs such as personal journals, insights, performance tasks, electronic folios, reports, and individual feedback on progress of learners if they are meeting the standards. The LMS will also archive or record all results of class interactions where learners can review and download the discussion points that will enrich the learning. The learning engagement may be through synchronous and asynchronous modes. In synchronous mode, learners are to attend the scheduled class session or virtual class where they will be required to log in for their attendance or accomplish certain tasks on a predetermined date. This also includes assessments, chat room time for students to share ideas, video meetings or group phone calls, live stream lectures or demonstrations. The asynchronous experience includes recorded presentations such as videos and slideshows, email, discussion boards, social media group or group chats, where learners will be allowed to access materials, ask questions, and practice their skills to explore and navigate online using also their class outputs. G. Blended remote learning. This is a combination of the modalities as cited in A, B, C, D, E, and F, depending on the choice of the learners or parents. With that, I hope I have conveyed all the different learning modalities. We are telling that DepEd is ready with this I Teach integrated approach. Yes, the context of the world is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And as member of this social development committee, there is no turning back with our plans. We will overcome. To God will always be the glory.
And that was the different distance learning delivery modalities. Thank you so much, Mr. Eugene Dorado of Bernardo Carpio National High School of Davao City Division for preparing this said video presentation. Once again, thank you, Sir Eugene. And that was the different distance learning modalities na ginagamit po ng ating mga schools ngayon para sa dry run implementation. But mostly, ang ginagamit ng ating mga schools ay ang radio-based instruction, ang modular learning modality, and of course, yung online using the learning management system na ginawa naman po ni Mr. Edo at ng ating ICTU. So once again, thank you so much, Sir Edo, and to the rest of your team. Ngayon naman ay mapapanood natin ang isang video na inihanda ng Davao de Oro Division. Ang video po na ito ay isang lesson class ni Teacher Rosa Mater Oribado of Mawab Central, Davao de Oro. It's all about children with autism. So please watch this.
Dito sa TV Eskwela, sa pag-aaral sama-sama, inamin natin ang kakayahan, matuto tumulawa. Dito sa TV Eskwela.
Hello! Good afternoon, kids! How are you today? Do you miss me? Do you still remember my name? Yes, I'm Teacher Mater, your teacher this afternoon.
Hi! And this is Teacher Flong signing for our deaf learners.
This time, prepare your table and chair and be comfortable on it. Okay, kids? Listen. Keep quiet. Sit down and look at me. Teacher Mater is also looking at you. Do you see me? I hope so. You have to follow my instructions. Let's sing first a jolly song. Are you ready? Yes, yes. Ready now. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, how do you do? I'm glad to be with you and you and you and you. La 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 la. Hooray! Okay, where is Niji? Hooray for Niji! Wave your hands, Niji! Hooray for Michael! What about Harvey? Good! Hep hep hooray for Martin! And for Nichelle. Now, thank you kids for singing and stay happy! Happy! Kids, do you see a telephone or a cell phone? Do you see a telephone or a cell phone? This is telephone. This is a cell phone. It has sounds, and you can say hello. Bye when somebody's calling. Now repeat after me. Say hello. Hi. Bye. Excellent response. Today, we will learn on how to communicate with our teachers and family members like Papa, Mama, Ate, and Kuya by expressing our needs. Let us also learn on how to use our augmentative signs and gestures as our supplement for us to be understood. To the parents, please assist or guide your child for the following activity and instructions. If possible, sit beside them and maintain eye-to-eye contact. This afternoon, we will learn about communication. We will tell or express our needs to the family members by using the signs and gestures. Okay? For the parents and guardians, please give time to the child to answer the activity given. But please inform also that there is a time limit of 3 minutes to answer each activity. Let us record the score of our child's output by looking at the rubrics after each activity. Oops! Go back to your seats. Look at me. Listen. Do you want to eat your favorite food? Again, do you want to eat your favorite food? Yes, you're nodding your head. What is your favorite food? Can you name it? Maybe you like fried chicken, bread, or banana. Niji, do you like fried chicken? Wow, very good. And what about Martin? Martin, I'm here. What do you want? Maybe Martin likes bread. And I think Harvey likes pechay guisado. Right, Harvey? Yes, you're nodding your head. And now get your pencil and crayon for our activity. Please turn your activity sheets to page 2 and follow the instructions. Hep, hep! Hooray! Listen now. Look at the pictures. In this activity, match the same picture by connecting the lines. Are you ready? Oops! Quiet! Are you ready? Yes! You are going to answer it in 3 minutes. Ready? Picture number 1 is a bread. Find the same picture. Then draw a line. Look at here. Oops! There you are. Ready? Your turn? Finished? Picture number 2 is a banana. Picture number 2 is a banana. Find the same. Picture number 3 is juice. Find the same. Finished? Good. And picture number 4, fried chicken. Yummy. Ready. And picture number 5, vegetables. Finished? Very good. And so, look at this happy face. Happy. Good job, kids. Parents, there are rubrics for scoring in the next page. Again, please assist them. Here is the rubrics. Kids, sit down, look, and listen. Are you ready? Good. Color the heart with red if you do the activity independently. Color the smiley with blue if with assistance from your mama or papa. Color a star with yellow if you did not answer. Are you ready to color? Are you ready to color? Activity 1. Go color it now. Smile, kids, while coloring it. Just look at your work and smile. Okay. Finished? Finished. Okay. Here is finish. Yay! Good job, good job, good job. Now, go to the next page. In activity 2, here is the instruction. Do you want to answer? Do you want to answer more? You're nodding your head. Of course, yes. Now look at the pictures. In the first picture, it shows that the boy is drinking. Get your favorite color of crayons. Draw a line to connect the picture that matches the given action. What is the boy drinking? Draw a line to connect. Draw a line to connect. Finished? Good job. In picture number 2, the boy is eating. What is the boy eating? Draw a line. Oops! Sit down. Sit down. Finished? Yay! Next, rubrics number 2. Again, parents, please assist the child. Color the heart with red if you finish independently. Color the smiley with blue if with assistance from your parent. Color the star with yellow if you did not work on it. Very good. Finished? Okay. Appear, appear, appear. Finish. Finish. Smile. Smile. Good job. And for the last activity, yay! Yay! It's the last activity. Yay! Here it is.
Dito sa TV Eskwela, sa pag-aaral sama-sama.
This is Flip-Flop Communication Board. Kids, you are going to tell or express our needs by communicating with your mama and papa. Let us also learn on how to use the augmentative signs and gestures. Listen, look, and sit down. Good. Based on the situations below, I will ask you, are you ready? Go back to your seat. Sit down and look. Are you ready? Yes, very good. Thumbs up. What will you do or say if you want to eat? Again, what will you do or say if you want to eat? Say, I want. You are going to mark check on the picture. What will you do if you want to eat? Again, what will you do or say if you want to eat? Choose your answer by marking check on the picture. Say, teacher, papa, mama, I want. Mark, check. Next, if you want to drink, what will you say? If you want to drink, what will you say? Repeat after me. Teacher, papa, mama, I want. If you want to drink, what will you say? If you want to drink, what will you say? Repeat after me. Teacher, papa, mama, I want. Look at the pictures. Mark, check on it. the heart with red again. If you finish independently, a smiley with blue, if with assistance from your parent, and a star with yellow, if you did not do the task. Ready? Color it now. Smile, kids, while coloring. Good job, kids! Hip, hip! Hooray, hooray, hooray! And thank you for listening and watching our lesson for today. And this is Teacher Matter saying goodbye. Say bye. Bye, kids. See you next time. Wave your hands. Bye-bye. You can eat your snacks now. And to the parent, please find time to follow up the communication of our children at home, especially in their basic needs. You can also make your own version of a communication board so that your child will gradually develop on speaking skills.
Dito sa TV Eskwela, dito sa TV Eskwela, sa pag-aaral sama-sama.
Panatili, malinis ang ating
DepEd Region 11 is at the helm of ensuring red
ay dapat palakasin. Sama-sama, tulong-tulong, ating labanan, COVID-19. Kaya natin to lang maglakot ang sama-sama. Ay wala problema. Palagi ang maghugas ng mga kamay. Gamit ang sabon at malinis na tubig. Sama-sama, tulong-tulong, ating labanan, COVID-19. Kaya natin to lang maglakot ang sama-sama. Ay wala problema. Samay ika'y dumistansya para di ka mahawa. Umuubo at mapapatibig at iyong takpan. Sama-sama, tulong-tulong, ating labanan, COVID-19. Kaya natin to lang maglakot ang sama-sama. Ay wala problema. Labanan, COVID-19. Kaya natin ito.
Para sa karagdagang impormasyon, pumunta sa doh.gov.ph o sundan ang official DOH Facebook page.
DepEd Region 11 is at the helm of ensuring readiness of the schools division offices and schools for the opening of classes in school year 2020-2021 in support to Handang Isip Handa Bukas National Kick-Off Program today, and will continue to navigate diversified learning delivery modalities and strategies to sustain quality education as capsulated in our basic education learning continuity plan, I Teach, by integrating technology, academic community, and the household.
Hello kids! I'm back! This Mintal Comprehensive High School supports Department of Education and its call for quality education amidst COVID-19 pandemic. MCH, ICT, and EIN, all anchored to DepEd's inclusive education. Also,
pouring on the container. It has weight. Water is a famous example of liquid. Gas is another form of matter. It cannot be seen, but
we are happy that Davao de Oro, for instance, as I am here today.
The task, and once you're done, please raise your hand. Is the instruction clear? Noreen, Mike, and Keith.
And we would like to give this certificate of recognition to the teacher who facilitated the online of the learning to congratulate them directed as well.
Consultation with our department heads, our teachers involved, and to include also the orientation with the parents and the learners, so that by the time that we will have this dry run, everything will be doing smoothly as expected.
Okay, thank you so much, Sir Joe. Mukhang ready na yung school. Yes po, Ma'am Janet.
Yan, ready talaga ang Nabuntura National Comprehensive High School. At saka March, hindi natin na akalain na online.
Ay, malaking tulong at ako katapang para sa anak, ang giandam para sa DepEd, TV program, kay maminaw gid kayo ang ako ang anak, at least na mas kinaalang sa balay kasi hindi kay siya maibalan na matunan. Handang isip, handang bukas. Salamat, DepEd.
How this would improve my learning is that for me as a visual learner, them thinking of screen sharing this like in PowerPoints, it helps me understand things better. Handang isip, handa bukas. Thank you, DepEd.
Dito sa DepEd, handang isip, handa bukas.
Welcome to Mangayon Elementary School, Side 4 Extension, the School of Dreams, Dedication, Responsibility, Empowerment, Attitude, Motivation, and Success. Home of the Matigsalog Tribe, Side 4 in Barangay Mangayon in the municipality of Compostela is one of the identified geographically isolated, disadvantaged, and conflict-affected areas in the province of Davao de Oro. Its geographical location is challenging in itself. Teachers need to ride Skylab or habal-habal most of the time, which is a tough task to succumb. The school, founded in 2019, is a product of the spirit of volunteerism. The 20,000 square meter land area was donated by the chairman of the tribe, Uraya Mansay Luan. It is situated at the topmost part of the mountains of Barangay Mangayon. With this, the Department of Education, in partnership with the provincial government of Davao de Oro, inked a joint endeavor to establish a learning institution under its flagship program, the Last Mile Schools Program. It is envisioned to address the gaps in resources and facilities to far-flung communities in terms of education. Out of all the Last Mile Schools program recipients, Mangayon Elementary School Side 4 Extension is unique and has been a model for other LMS. In the light of the current COVID-19 pandemic, with schools around the country being closed and face-to-face classes are prohibited, the school is now facing a gallant task to provide quality-assured educational experience in the new normal.
Kakadi kuntoon no pog pangandam isip karami o tribu matigsalog kakadi no pog pangandam bayt sa glibod pag eskwela so kanami no kabataan og istoryahan ko og lalakang ko kasi kaso kanami kadi no mooto so matag sabok ka no kaning paningkamot tinaw to pog to tudlo to anak no kuno paabsinon to eskwela so sino ka naabot ta sino kaninguman ta kuntoon na ayuda kidto kanta no gobyerno labi na to sa dipid no kanta ug tutukan ta gid anak ta kuntoon sa ino panahon so yo kakanta kuno kidogo warad og kidog kailad so tanan-tanan no mo ko sudon mo grado to anak ta so kuno pangambog kakanta no nasuguran wara gid kaalam na wara grado ta kunto paningkamutan ta kunto tutukan ta sa eskwelahan so anak ta.
In the implementation of distance learning, considering the situation of the community where the school is located, the provincial government of Davao de Oro had sponsored radio sets for the households to allow learning by means of radio-based instruction.
Mangayon Elementary School Site 4 Extension is one with the government in ensuring the continuity of education amidst the pandemic. As we continue to grapple with COVID-19, our school has forged partnerships with our stakeholders, NESTA and the provincial local government of Davao de Oro. With this, we were able to establish main service points and speakers were installed in all households in Site 4 Mangayon. This is to ensure that RBI will be successfully implemented in the community. With all these efforts, we are committed to continue with the call of education in the new normal, and despite this global crisis, we can still deliver quality education for our learners.
Modules are being prepared, which will be given to each learner. With the leadership of the school administrator working hand in hand with the teachers, the school is assuring that quality teaching and learning will be delivered despite and in spite of the situation.
Threat of COVID-19 affecting schools nationwide, we are ready to deliver radio-based instruction.
The school's division of Davao de Oro has chosen to give the learners of Mangayon Elementary School Site 4 Extension a fighting chance amid all the challenges.
The materialization of the targets on learning delivery through radio-based instruction is made possible through the support of the Honorable Vice Governor Maricar Zamora and Z Radio, represented by Mr. Manuel Zamora Jr. And we also thank the Honorable Governor Tyrone Uy for being very solicitous to the needs of our children in the different schools of the Division of Davao de Oro. To all our stakeholders, our heartfelt gratitude and appreciation.
Dito sa Mangayon Elementary School, Site 4 Extension, handa kami para sa school year 2020 to 2021. Handa isip, handa bukas! Yay!
Lagi handa! Bahatag tuyot sunog lindol bagyo, mga kalamidad na likas sa ating mundo, napapahamak ang buhay at kabuhayan, kaya naman kailangan ng paghandaan.
Maging handa, maging alerto, tungkulin to ng bawat mamamayan. Kaya tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat-dapat na maging laging handa. Tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po di inaasahang oras.
Kaya naman hindi na dapat hintayin. Unahan na habang di pa natataranta.
Maging handa, maging alerto. Tungkulin to ng bawat mamamayan. Kaya tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat-dapat nang maging laging handa. Tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat-dapat nang maging laging handa.
Suriin mo mabuti ang iyong kapaligiran. Saan ka ba nakatira? Diyan ba ay bumabaha? Tuwing gamot pagkain, kumot pang sindi, first aid kit, mga gamit panligtas ng buhay dapat mabitbit. At sakaling lumindol o sumabog ang bulkan, meron bang matagdaanan palayo sa kasawian? Panahon na ay malupit at ang hangin hagupit. Mabuti na lang na tayo ay laging nakahanda.
Tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat-dapat nang maging laging handa. Tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat-dapat nang maging laging handa.
This message is brought to you by the Department of Education with the support of World Vision Development Foundation.
Alternative Learning System, Trumpa, Aralan, Radio-Based Instruction at pinamuno sa Isidro, Davao del Norte. The new structured style of education was launched last July 2, 2011. This ignites our out-of-school youth to enroll in ALS program because they consider this initiative as something new and unique mode of delivery.
Mayong buntag kanatong tanan, mga kaigsunan ko o mga learners dinhi sa barangay Pinamuno. Aniya na usab ang para
Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 o'clock in the morning, the ALS implementer air the lessons.
Ang episode karong buntaka, hanap uluman. Droga, salot sa lipunan. Paano ka naman makatulong kapag maibaw ka natin? Saan?
Asawa ko na si Paolo at yun nga anak na namin. Ako eh, ano pa nga ba?
The learners can listen the lesson while in the farm.
Man, sino pagsabi mo na siguro at ako maghahanap ng trabaho.
Asawa.
Even when they are at home doing household chores
na iniwan
and feeding their animals.
Lahat ng mga karapatan ng lalaki ay ganun din ang kanyang pag-isang legal na paghihiwalay. Ganun pa? Ano ka ng pamilya? Tagal-tagal ko na rin pinag-iisipan ng sinabi mo.
Doing laundry while learning.
Hindi ko alam ang nangyayari sa inyo. Ha?
Mayong buntag, mga kaisalaan ko o mga learners dinhi sa barangay Pinamuno. Aniya na usab ang alternative learning system sa
The whole community can benefit this program, especially nowadays that we are facing in the new normal.
Atong paminawan ang isa pa episode karong buntaga. Ang titulo, Droga, Salot sa Lipunan. sa episode na ito upang malaman ang mga magandang epekto ng paggamit ng bawal na gamot sa isang tao at sa lipunan. At kung paano tumutulong sa pagsuko nito. Pakinggan mabuti ang isang ina at sagutin ang mga tanong pagkatapos ninyong marinig ang isang episode.
Episode 20. Ito. Tapos na rin.
Isang pandaigdigang problema ang lumalaganap sa paggamit ng bawal na gamot. Napatunayan na hindi lamang mga kabataan ang gumagamit ito, kundi maging ang mga maligad na rin, mayaman ang mahirap na. Halos araw-araw ang nababasa natin sa mga dyaryo o naririnig sa radyo telebisyon ang mga balitang may kaugnayan sa paggamit ng bawal na gamot. Ito naglalarawan mga suliraning pampanitya o panlipunan tulad ng mga kabimay-dumay na siya. Sino ka naman ba ang droga? Ang droga ay isang uri ng sustansyang kemikal na nakaka-apekto sa tao. Ang epekto nito ay maaaring sa pisikal, emosyonal o mental na makalaman ng tao. Nagiging mapangalip ang droga kapag ito'y pinaabuso o ginagamit ng natin doon sa itinakda ng doktor. Kapag nagkaganap,
Okay, kumusta mo? Wala nakikita ang patuloy sa
Face-to-face learning with social distancing, proper hand washing, and wearing face mask in every Friday.
Ang tungkol nga parang naging kubig karon mula na itong distansya kaminan sa at sa tumpa bawal naman ang face to face sa kuha mas mali padayon din ito nagdaghan ko ang kakakul sa mga tinulong sa tanang nga ang edukasyon mo na po kayong hatag ka kumamon sa makakakuntag kung sa'yo mayo at sa'yo hindi mayo. Kanaginanimon bitaw nga may datang trabaho pero wala seminar. Kinahanglan nga kagi tayo eskwela wala. Una tayo sukaranan sa mga pagkakas. As karagay kapten, sa pagkay pinamuno, 100% masuporta sa arts sa mga barangay.
Full straight.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm presenting on WASH, water sanitation hygiene, schools in the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you for this opportunity to be able to share this very particular important dimension of our work in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. So for this presentation, I aim to describe the links between WASH and the COVID-19 response in the education setting, delineate strategic WASH in schools action at the local level for the COVID response, and understand the participants are from the region or from the subnational level. Then describe links as well of WASH in schools to the broader community response to the COVID-19 pandemic. So we'll have four major topics for this presentation. One is a rationale for WASH in schools in the COVID response. Why do we need WASH in the COVID response? And I think the past presentations have particularly underlined that. We will further focus on WASH on that. Then key strategies for WASH in schools against the COVID-19. And then we go into more specific provisions against the COVID-19. And then sharing with you also school relevant infection prevention control measures in community setting that has been from DOH and the World Health Organization. So in terms of water sanitation and hygiene, there are few key things that we need to be able to take note of. And I think the first one is something that has been mentioned, that has been particularly underlined earlier. First is that frequent and proper hand washing with soap and running water is the single most effective way to prevent infection. This is in cognizance of the transmission, the process by which COVID-19 is transmitted, and that has been explained earlier by Dr. Pahe and also touched on by General De Leon and by Dr. Chris. And while there are other measures like wearing masks while social distancing, frequent hand washing, and especially with soap and running water is actually the most fundamental way to prevent infection. In addition, environmental cleaning is an essential component of infection prevention and control measures. So outside of ourselves, we need to be able to control the surroundings. Especially in the context of children who touch just about anything that they can touch in our schools. We must note as well that COVID has not been detected in chlorine-treated drinking water. This is particularly underlined. It's chlorine-treated, particularly meaning safe drinking water by WHO and DOH standard. Water is able to fight actually the contamination of COVID, given the standard chlorine content, residual content in standard water, safe drinking water that we have. But if water is not treated, then there's a greater chance of it being contaminated. While COVID-19 has been detected in feces sa tae, there is no evidence of fecal oral transmission of COVID. So this particular part still has to be studied, whether feces contact with feces would cause contamination. As right now, there's no evidence yet of transmission via feces. Thus, it is safely managing water supply and sanitation remains important to prevent contamination and for public health benefits. I explained it earlier how to prevent contamination, but at the same time, let me emphasize the benefits of managing clean water and sanitation for general public health benefits, especially in for children, as it's having safe water, it's having proper sanitation facilities and practices. The children are prevented from other infections, and thus have been more vulnerable to other infections. Then let me now talk about our schools, particularly in terms of education continuity. One of the key things that we are losing out with the COVID pandemic is the opportunity for education, the opportunity for children to enjoy for socialization and for learning in schools. And that's one of the first things that we aim for in a emergency, particularly with this pandemic, is to be able to get our children back to school as soon as possible. But it's not just getting our children back to school as soon as possible, but it's also being able to make sure that our schools are prepared for the return of our children, of our teachers. And that would mean creating a safe and clean environment, and in particularly making sure that in school we reduce their vulnerability.
Yes, hello, good morning once again. So we have to pause our ongoing video, which is about the WASH and the COVID-19 pandemic guidelines from the central office because we now have at this very moment our education program supervisor for Araling Panlipunan who is now on one of the schools of Davao City Division to monitor the dry run implementation. So may I now request Dr. Danny Duhino on screen, please.
Is sufficient for us to believe.
Okay, hello Sir Danny, good morning.
Hello, Marge.
Finally, sir,
Nana
it's
mi
so good
karon
to
diri
see
sa
you this
mental
morning.
comprehensive.
Okay, sir.
Hello, Marge. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Okay, so nasa
Um,
Mental Comprehensive High School po kayo,
yes
sir?
po. We are
Yes,
now
sir.
in Mental Comprehensive High School here in Mintal. Ngayon, nagkakaroon muna ng orientation at saka kasama ko dito yung mga education program supervisors ng Division of Davao City at saka yung team natin no na pinamunuan ni Sir Roy Enriquez. Actually, March, nasa harapan na si Sir Roy Enriquez. He is also conducting a feedbacking sa ipinakita po ng Mental Comprehensive High School.
Sir, ano po yung learning modality na ginagamit ni Mintal sa dry run nila, sir?
Ang ginagamit po ng Mintal ay yung modular at saka yung online. Pero kung okay lang sa inyo, kahit na 1 minute lang tatawagin ko yung principal ng Mintal
Okay, sir. No
Comprehensive
problem
High School, si Dr. Lea. Okay lang? Okay.
Okay po. Yes, sir. Take your time, Sir Danny. Okay, once
nasa labas
again,
na kasi
si Dr. Duhino po ay nasa
Okay,
Mental
so nandito po ang
Comprehensive National High
principal.
School.
Okay, nandito po yung principal sa Mental Comprehensive High School, si Dr. Lea Camilotes. Ma'am, live po tayo
Good
ngayon
morning
sa
po,
StreamYard.
Ma'am Leia
Okay po.
Camilotes.
Sige.
Yes, good morning. Welcome to Mental Comprehensive High School. We're in our regional office, Region 11, and then Division of Davao City is here with us, monitoring, giving us the technical assistance, and assuring that we are really on the right track. So we are in
Yes.
it, and we are actually doing the segmentation there inside.
Yes,
Ma'am, may tanong
yes,
po
ma'am.
ba?
Actually, we have.
Marge, di ba may tanong ka kanina
Yes, sir.
kung
Yes,
ano
sir.
yung preparation po? Ano po yung prepared ng mga
Yes, po.
estudyante ng Mental? Ano po daw, ma'am, base sa data na natanggap
Yeah.
ninyo?
The blended, the modular, wherein they can also make use of the modules, and then the printed copy itself of the modules. However, we have 41% of our student population who really go into the online. So what we would like to present is the online because that's really that challenge that we have. The modules, we can deliver it as easy as it could, but the online, it really gives us the challenge. So it's the 41% of our population that really into that online. So the blended, we have 3,000 plus, and then the online, we have 478 students who really took that challenge. What they love is the online also.
Thank you so much for that, Ma'am Leia. Ma'am, I'd like also to ask, kamusta naman po yung number of enrollees natin dyan sa school po ninyo? We're expecting na siguro medyo bumaba po ba or nag-increase po ba? Kamusta po yung number of enrollees natin, ma'am?
Yeah, we really increased in number. We are now 3,978. Last year, we only have 3,252. We really do have more of the senior high school. Coming from the private schools, they are now into mental comprehensive.
Yes, ma'am, you have said na you have transferees from private school. Ano po kaya yung mga rason ng mga nag-transfer? Bakit po kaya sila lumipat sa public school? Bakit po sila lumipat sa mental comprehensive school po?
Most of them said that with the preparations, I guess, many also economic reasons. So they see it that the parents will be the one to get the modules and all, and they will also be teaching their students. So might as well be here in the public school because they don't have any tuition fees at all. So that's one of the
Yes.
reasons. So it's also the COVID thing that affects them.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for that, Ma'am Leah. Ma'am, before I ask another question, I'd like also to say na napakaganda po no video presentation ninyo regarding the DLDM. So we have shown your
We have
video
our team.
yesterday, and yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we have our team that is here, and we are also supported with the technical assistance coming from our division, and so with the region as well.
Yes, ma'am. Congratulations po. Napakaganda po na inyong videos. At ipe-play po namin yan ulit ngayon until Friday para po ma-benchmark din ng ibang schools from the different division offices. Now, ma'am, you have mentioned a while ago that the most preferred learning modality of your learners is the online learning modality, considering the 49%, ma'am, or 41%, if I'm not mistaken,
41,
of your number of enrollees. 41%. Okay po. So, how about this percentage na pumili or nag-decide to go for modular? Ano po yung sistema ninyo, ma'am? Or ano yung preparations ninyo kung paano po ninyo i-deliver at i-retrieve yung mga modules ng learners?
So, sa module po natin, ma'am, we really see to it yung stakeholders muna namin with the MOOs and all para po sa printed ng materials. However, the teachers also, it's good that from the central office down to the region and the division, we have this what we call webinars that the teachers now are quite really prepared. So the school in itself, we are preparing our RISOs, our machines, how to print all those modules. We tried, and then for the grade 7 alone, it's really overwhelming number of coupon bands to be used. However, we are into it. So we are actually preparing most of the admin work here is the modules. And then the teachers, we are also trying our best to really prepare for the first week. So the modules are now downloaded. I guess they are also excited to really have it delivered to our learners.
Okay, that's good to hear, Ma'am Leia. Ma'am, last question po for this morning. Gusto ko si Ma'am Leia kasi sobrang prepared si Ma'am Leia for today. Okay, Ma'am, how about yung ating yung ating partnership po sa ating mga stakeholders? Kamusta po yun, ma'am? Do we have any projects or any partnerships na ginawa with other stakeholders like our LGU or our barangay officials?
We have with us here our barangay captain. So he also assured us, ma'am, whatever be the need for the council, they will also be there. The city in itself give us that assurance, and the division office give us also the assurance that the city will going to support us. We also tap with our alumni, should in case we really be in need of bundles of the coupon bands, they are also there. In our MOOE, we try to really prepare it in such a way that these modules will really be delivered to them. So for the stakeholders and our parents as well. So
yes,
I guess we are
expected po talaga, ma'am, nasa modular. Sobrang daming bond paper yung kakailanganin ng ating mga schools. Pero ika nga, laban lang. And I believe with all the information that you have given us, Ma'am Leia, masasabi ko talaga na ang Mintal National Comprehensive High School ay handang isip, handa bukas para sa opening ng klase ngayong August 24. So maraming salamat, Ma'am Leah, for giving us your time and sharing us your updates regarding sa inyong school. Thank you so much po. May I request po si Sir Danny
God bless us.
Taglog?
Okay.
Yes, God bless us, ma'am. Good luck po sa inyo dyan, ma'am. Hello, Sir Danny. Ayan, si Sir Danny medyo nawawala. Okay, so live na live po ang principal ng Mintal Comprehensive National High School, Dr. Leia F. Camilote. So sa nabanggit nga po ni Dr. Leia, ang most preferred learning modality ng kanilang enrollees ay ang online learning. Dahil mas komportable yung ating mga learners to do online and based po sa video na ipinakita natin kahapon from TAL, the online learning modality, ginagamit po nila yung learning management system. Okay, so to get to know more about the Mintal Comprehensive National High School and their preferred learning modality, let's once again watch their video.
Sir Roy.
Okay, but before that, okay. Oh, all right. So we have on screen the team leader for monitoring team of Davao City Division, Dr. Roy T. Enriquez. Hello, Sir Roy. Kamusta po?
Hello, Marge. We are almost done with the monitoring. We're now giving the observations, the comments, and recommendations in terms of the simulation made by the school vis-a-vis with the modality that they have chosen for the school year 2020-2021. And
yes, sir. So
yes, Marge.
So far po, kamusta po yung monitoring natin, sir? Ano po yung mga general observations ninyo sa ating mga schools?
Actually, maganda ang nakita namin kasi it's not only that they are only presenting how they will go about the online teaching, but the school also gave an introduction why DepEd came out with this modality for this school year. The school presented the background of this COVID-19, the brief introduction about the school, the results of the survey, which the school, parang doon sila nagtitake off out of the results of the survey, why they have this online teaching modality. So the simulation focuses on the online teaching modality for the learners. No? So, pero
yes,
may mga may mga observations for the improvement of the teaching, the modality that they have chosen.
Yes, sir. So may variations po tayo, Sir Roy, ano? Kasi kahapon sa Marilog, yung preferred nila is modular, considering their location, kasi mahina yung internet doon. And now, ngayon naman, dito sa Centro, sa baba, online sila kasi malakas na yung internet. So, Sir Roy, ilang schools pa po ba yung pupuntahan ninyo for observation and monitoring?
We still have 2 schools to monitor today. We started with this Mintal Comprehensive National High School in the morning. After here, we'll be proceeding to Davao City Special School. And in the afternoon, we will be in Capitan Tomas Monteverde Elementary School for the last school in Davao City that we have to monitor.
Okay, sir. So we would like to hear your other updates regarding the remaining school, sir. So we will invite you again later this morning or later this afternoon. So we will have a close contact with Dr.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. And ingat po kayo, sir. Ingat po kayo sa biyahe.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. That was the Chief of the Administrative Services Division and the team leader for Davao City Division Monitoring Team. And going back to Mintal Comprehensive National High School, we will now show you their video showcasing their preferred learning modality. Please watch this.
As alarm bells began to sound on the growing spread of COVID 19, the government has established a multi sectoral global task force to support the country in terms of response and coping measures. Never before have so many children been out of school at the same time, disrupting learning and overturning lives, especially the most vulnerable and marginalized. But as the country grapples with COVID 19, the Department of Education vowed that it will continue to ensure quality education through the Learning Continuity Plan. With this, Mintal Comprehensive High School supports Department of Education and its call for quality education amidst COVID-19 pandemic. MCHS for 26 long years has undergone massive improvements in terms of its physical and human resources. Physical developments have significantly contributed to the improvements of the school services, not to mention the school programs which have honed every learner's talents and skills. MCHS is an ISO certified institution which is known with its programs. Project ICE team in partnership with Pass It Forward from Israel. Contextualized STE, Alternative Learning System, Involvement of SPAD students to school activities, Equal Opportunity for Muslim learners and indigenous people, Special Program in Foreign Language for Spanish, Nihongo, Mandarin, and Korean, Senior High School offerings such as ABM, HUMS, STEM, HE, ICT, and EIM, all anchored to DepEd's inclusive education. Also, evident physical developments were attained through the aid of the stakeholders and PDA, making it ready for the new normal. Installation of closed-circuit television cameras, electronic feedback mechanism through tablets, 21st century classroom with smart board, radio frequency identification scanner for the learner's ID, acquisition of essential items for the new normal such as alcohol or sanitizers, food bath, surgical gloves, surgical masks, hygiene kits, thermal scanners. With all these programs and physical resources, MCHS still needs the support of its stakeholders and community, especially that in the latest survey conducted by the school, it revealed the needs to be resolved. May we present to you the result of the survey in accordance with the Learning Continuity Plan of the Department of Education. School latest profile according to DepEd Learning Continuity Plan template. Currently, the school has 108 teachers, 86 teachers for junior high school, and 22 teachers for senior high school. And part of the school's force are the 9 non-teaching personnel. Out of 108 teachers of MCHS, 101 or 94% has laptops or desktop units at home. 53 or 49% has internet connection. 83 or 77% has smartphones or tablets. 4 or 4% undergone training on digital training. And 76 or 70% has ideas on how to use teaching and learning online platforms. Out of the 2,535 learners and parents who responded to the survey, 77 or 3% are learners with special needs. For the employment status of the parents, 887 or 35% with full-time job, 380 or 15% with part-time job, 557 or 22% is self-employed, 304 or 12% is unemployed due to community quarantine, 407 or 16% has no job or unemployed. How does your child go to school? 406 or 16% walking, 1,875 or 74% public commute, 254 or 10% family-owned vehicle. What devices are available at home that the learner can use for learning? 380 or 15% cable TV, 811 or 32% non-cable TV, 1,039 or 41% basic cell phone, 1,673 or 66% smartphone, 202 or 8% tablet, 507 or 20% radio, 228 or 9% desktop computer, and 481 or 19% laptop. Do you have a way to connect to the internet? 836 or 33% answered yes. 1,699 or 67% answered none. What distance learning modalities do you prefer for your child? 1,139 or 41% online learning, 481 or 19% television, 202 or 8% radio, 2,178 or 82% modular learning, and 177 or 7% only prefer the combination of face-to-face with other modalities. What are the learning modalities for school year 2020 to 2021? First, face-to-face modality. This refers to a learning delivery modality where the students and the teacher are both physically present in the classroom. This modality must secure social distancing with only 15 students in the classroom. This is only applicable to communities declared as safe, very low, or no risk containment by IATF or city government. Second, home-based modality. This is categorized into two, online and modular. The home-based online modality is an approach in which students will have their studies at home using the following gadgets: laptop, desktop computer, and tablet or smartphone with internet connectivity. The home-based modular modality is an approach in which students will have their studies at home using printed materials or what we call self-paced modules. Lastly, blended learning modality. This refers to a learning delivery that combines face-to-face with any or a mix of online learning, modular distance learning, and TV or radio-based instruction. This time, I will present to you the proposed scheduling of MCHS. When face-to-face learning will not be allowed, the schedule for the distance learning, modular, and online learning will be assigned in certain days of the 5-day class week. When face-to-face will be allowed, the schedule for the blended learning of each grade level will be as follows. Grade 7 will report to school on Mondays. Grade 8 will report to school on Tuesdays. Grade 9 will report to school on Wednesdays. Grade 10 will report to school on Thursdays, and grade 11 and 12 will report to school on Fridays. The other 4 days will be for modular and online distance learning. Assessment and giving feedback. The presence of COVID-19 necessitates MCHS to develop alternative approaches to deliver critical feedback function of learning assessment. Assessment method. Objective test. Short answer test. Extended answer test like essays. Practical tests. Situational assessment or skills assessment. Assignments and projects, and presentation and oral assessment. Lastly, portfolios. Assessment plan. Outcome-based with student and student constructed. Modified IS scheme, student weighing of assignment or multiple assignment. Objective test, knowledge and comprehension level objectives. Projects and portfolios with rubrics, analysis or application level objectives. Administer formative assessment using synchronous and asynchronous forms, giving of feedback through online messaging platforms. Teacher readiness to online or digital learning. Aside from the fact that MCHS actively participates in different webinars, particularly those initiated by DepEd OER Tech Unit and DepEd Region 11, the school is set to conduct its capacity building for teachers on online and modular learning platforms. MCHS Health Protocols. The school adheres to the health protocols as mandated by the Department of Health through the IATF guidelines. Physical distancing will be implemented. Sanitizers, food bath, and thermal scanner are already available at the school's premises. The school will politely refuse entry to those who will register a high temperature when scanned. Every person who enters the school needs to wear a mask and sanitize at all times. A monthly disinfection will also be done in all classrooms, offices, and other places in the school. MCHS on implementing the learning modalities. Exemplary teaching comes with exemplary readiness. In the light of the school's learning continuity plan, MCHS is new normal ready.
Long before this pandemic, Quintal Comprehensive High School is already exposed to the online teaching learning interaction. Our ICT teachers really used with the Google Classroom. Also, majority of the MCH's teachers are adaptive to change with and so with our learners. But there must some underlying factors, especially on the connectivity and some resources. But we possibly did make it happen to really experience that online teaching. I must say that Quintal Comprehensive High School is online already. Or, I mean, we are into it. We dare now to experience, to go away with a face-to-face learning interaction, or what we call the traditional one. And I know that we dare to really be on our toes because we are also being supported from the central office with the first webinars that the teachers experience down to the regional office, thanks to our RD Petalvero, ARD Asuncion, and the rest of the Region 11 team who give us those wonderful experience with how to our teachers really get into this online teaching. And we would like also to thank our division superintendent, Dr. Juliana, with our ASDSS, Dr. Camoredondo and Dr. Basmanaay, with our EPS and our SGO chief, Ma'am Navalle, and our CID chief, Dr. Sipra, because they are really give us this encouragement to really explore more on the modalities. So with our cluster 6, cluster head, Dr. Jan Galan, with our strong stakeholders, our Mintal Council, Barangay Mintal Council, with our parents, and with the blazing passion of teachers. I know, God's still in the orchestra. And so, together with Mintal Comprehensive High School, we will dare to brave on with this new normal of the Philippine education.
I am Jemar Barlatar, Junior High School Math teacher with Mintal Comprehensive High School. Dance preparations are indeed experienced by all teachers in the Philippines. It might be extra challenging for public school setup since preparation is equally related to money, resources, time, and effort. As teacher, I engage myself in webinars and intend to apply the most practical strategy to teach in the new normal setup. Preparing lesson plans anchored to most essential learning competency, or also known as MEL, is one of the crucial, aside from the fact that they need to have new normal tools in teaching such as noise cancelling headset, good camera, and a functional laptop or desktop computer for some. This pandemic is surely a challenge, but this is just one of the challenges that we will get through with divine providence.
It was on the 1st of June that marked the new normal beginning for school year 2020 to 2021. Previous learners and incoming learners of MCHS are given the freedom to choose an appropriate learning modality to continue education despite COVID-19 pandemic. MCHS, together with its stakeholders, favors distance learning modality in adherence to DepEd's call to continue education in the safest, practical, and efficient learning to our learners. Distance learning modality covers the best of two: modular and online instruction. Based on enrollment survey results, modular and online are the winning preferences of MCH's parents and learners. With this, may we present to you the MCH's way on modular learning modality. On modular learning, department heads will download and will secure copies of self-directed modules to be distributed to class advisors. Class advisors will receive printed copies of self-directed modules that will be recorded in their SF4. Learners' parents and guardians will get the copies of self-directed modules following the health protocol. Learners' parents and guardians will be informed by the class advisors on designated schedule of module distribution and retrieval. The returned modules will be checked and recorded weekly by subject teachers. On top of modular learning preparedness, MCHS has continued to weigh better possibilities for the safety of everybody, for our learners, teachers, parents, and greater community. As a result, MCHS and its stakeholders promotes online learning.
Ako si Leonora Malod, ina ni Cristo Vibora na nag-aaral sa Mental Comprehensive. Bilang isang magulang, susuporta ako sa dito lang sa bahay ang pag-aaral ngayon dahil makita ko ang aking anak, masusuportahan ko, matutukan ko ang kanyang pag-aaral. Yun lang, kailangan ng internet connection or internet access. Pero susuporta ako. Hanapan ko ng paraan para lang pagpatuloy ang kanyang pag-aaral at sa tulong ng kanyang mga guro. Susuporta ako bilang isang magulang.
Mental Comprehensive High School offering online lessons during the pandemic or during this COVID-19 crisis is a very welcome news. Mental Comprehensive High School is one of the very few public schools who have made preparations and who's doing, or who, the teachers, everyone involved is doing what they can to offer different options. Many, at least 3 options to our students. But offering an online learning platform for the students, I'm very comfortable with it because I think most parents are very concerned now with the possible exposure of their children to the virus. You know, from many people, if example, there was no online learning platform, if there's only modular, then the students will still have to go somewhere, ride a jeep or maybe ride a tricycle, and then expose themselves to the virus or to other people. But being in the safety of one's home, seeing that your child or children are focused, you know, on their laptops, listening to their teacher, and you can monitor them. And then when they are hungry, even if it's not recess time in the schedule, you can give them snacks or water. Yeah, and you can make the experience a pretty comfortable and a conducive experience. As a parent, that is a very welcome news. So the number one issue for most parents now is, again, safety. You know, we want to survive. We want to get through this pandemic in the best possible way. And again, just because there is a pandemic, it does not mean that everything has to stop. Education is an everyday process. And again, Mental Comprehensive High School offering online lessons is a truly great news for all parents here in Mintal. And even to those parents from far away or from other barangays who chose to, or who have made the decision to enroll their children in Mintal Comprehensive High School. So it does not only offer safety, but it also offers opportunities for students from other barangays, even from far barangays, uh, to to experience the mental comprehensive high school way of learning because of the online platform. So, Mental Comprehensive High School, thank you for this great plan, for this great vision that you've materialized. This will help a lot of families. This will allow a lot of students to experience and know the reason why Mental Comprehensive High School is um, why it is one of the, if I may, for the lack of word, and my apologies for the lack of word, one of the big names in giving education to our young learners. So thank you very much. Do great, and please never tire of thinking of great ways, remarkable ways to educate and to impart learning to our students.
On online learning, subject teachers will download an electronic copy of the self directed module. Subject teachers will conduct parent learning virtual orientation. Learners will receive an electronic copy of the self directed module. Subject teachers will craft a lesson presentation out from the module. Subject teachers will utilize the learning management system to supplement interactive quizzes and assignments done by the learners. Subject teachers will have a recorded copy of their presentation so that learners can revisit the lesson at his most convenient time.
Okay, magandang umaga sa inyo lahat. Bago tayo magpatuloy, manalangin muna tayo sa ngalan ng Ama, ng Anak, ng Espiritu Santo. Amen. Kabanal-banal ang puso ni Jesus, kaawaan niyo po kami. Kabanal-banal ang puso ni Jesus,
Kaawaan niyo po kami.
sa ngalan ng Ama, ng Anak, ng Espiritu Santo. Amen. Magandang umaga sa inyo lahat.
Magandang umaga din po.
Well, again, welcome sa ating unang klase para sa taong 2020 at 2021. At kung hindi ako nagkakamali, kayo yung mga magiging yung so, maaari mo bang basahin yung unang layunin natin para sa linggong ito?
Unang layunin, nahihinuha ang kaugalian at kalagayang panlipunan ng lugar ng lutong bayan batay sa mga pangyayari at usapan ng mga tauhan.
Okay, magaling. How about Gemar? Maaari mo bang basahin ay ikalawa nating layunin para sa linggong ito?
Nagagamit ng wasto ang mga pahayag sa pagbibigay ng mga patunay.
Okay, maraming salamat. Sige, sandali lang ha. I-share ko muna yung screen ko para sa inyo. Ayan. So, Floor, ang pangalan o ang pamagat ng larong ito, alam niyo na siguro yung pamagat nito. Ang pamagat nito ay 4 pics, 1 word. Sa iyong tingin, sa iyong palagay, Floor, magaling ka ba sa larong ito?
Siguro.
Siguro, okay. So, anong level ka na dun sa 4 pics, 1 word mo sa phone mo?
200. Hindi ko na maalala.
Hindi mo na maalala sa kagrabe nito. Okay, magaling. Okay, ngayon, bibigyan kita ng pagkakataon para sagutin ng mga nasabing puzzles. At kung makuha mo ito, ay congratulations yung ibibigay ko sa inyo. Okay? Okay.
Yes po.
Good. So magsimula tayo sa una nating puzzle. And 3, 2, 1, go. Ano kaya yung sagot para dyan?
Bana.
Tingnan natin kung tama ba. Tama ba? Very good. Congratulations. Ang tamang sagot para dito ay bana. Well, paano mo nasabi o ano yung sabihin natin nagpa-trigger sa'yo o nagpabigay ng hinwa sa'yo na yung tinutukoy dito ay ang bana?
Itong litrato ng isang lalaki na may karga na isang bata.
Eto. Sige. Magaling. Ngayon, punta tayo sa susunod na puzzle. Ano kaya yung salitang pinapahula dito sa susunod na puzzle?
asawa.
Sure? Wala nang bawian
Yes
at
po.
tingnan natin kung tama yung sagot mo. Tamang sagot ay very good. Congratulations! Ang tamang sagot para rito ay asawa. At kung mapapansin mo, yung mga salitang nandito sa ating 4 picks 1 word ay may koneksyon o ugnayan sa ating tatalakaying pabula o kwentong bayan sa hapong ito.
Ito ay ang mga kwento nagmula sa bawat puok na naglalahad ng katangi-tanging salaysay ng kanilang lugar.
Okay, maraming salamat. Crystal, may mga gusto ko bang idagdag?
Ang mga kwentong bayan po, hango sa mga karanasan ng mga tao, sa mga karanasan nila at ito yung refleksyon ng kanilang kultura din po.
Okay, maraming salamat. Okay, maraming salamat. Ngayon, Jemar, sabi ni Crystal kanina, ito'y parang sabihin natin salamin ng kanilang kultura. So, masasabi natin talagang yung talagang mga story ito. Pero paano kaya nila sabihin natin na preserba ang mga kwentong katulad nito? May ideya ka ba, Jemar?
Ano po yun, sir? Hindi ko masyadong marinig po. Pasensya po.
Sige po. Ulitin ko ano yung kaya yung pamamaraan ng mga sinaunang tao upang mapreserba nila yung mga kwentong bayan? Hanggang ngayon ay buhay pa.
Sa pamamagitan po ng paggamit po nito araw-araw, or yun po.
Okay, maraming salamat. At dagdag din dyan, pinapasa yan mula sa isang henerasyon patungo sa isa pang henerasyon. Kaya lang ito ay nadaragdagan o nababawasan kasi nga marami-rami rin version ng mga nasabing kwentong bayan katulad din ng chika. Okay? Flor, maaari mo bang i-share screen yung pag na-navigate mo yung ngayon sa inyong LMS? Okay, good. Ayan. So, ang gagawin mo first, i-click mo yung subukin natin na nasa ilalim ng tab na Lunes. Tapos, scroll down. Okay. Pindutin mo yung re-attempt quiz. Okay. Start attempt. Again, kung makikita mo dyan, bibigyan ka ng 5 minuto. Sagutin mo ang nasabing quiz. Kung maaari. Okay, good. Sure ka na? Okay, yan. Next page na. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, pindutin mo yung submit all and finish. Okay, pwede mo nang ibalik dito sa screen natin. And kung napansin natin, wow, very good. Congratulations, may perfect score ka. Talagang nag-aaral ka talaga from every now and then. Good. Okay, Flor, maaari ka bang magbigay ng maikling buod hinggil sa nangyari sa kwentong bayang ang Munting Ibon?
Yes po.
Okay.
Si Loki Ababay at Loki Amamay ay mag-asawa at ang kanilang pangkabuhayan ay bilang isang mangangaso. Isang araw naglagay sila ng bitag sa kagubatan at hinayaan nila ito ng isang araw. At nang pumunta si Loki Amamay, bumalik siya doon, ay
Laking gulat niya na ang nahuli lang niya ay isang maliit na ibon at ang nahuli ni Loki Ababay ay isang mataba at malusog na usa. Kaya noon pinagpalit niya ito at bumalik sa kanilang bahay at kinaumagahan tinawag niya si Loki Ababay para puntahan at tingnan kung ano ang kanilang mga nahuli at laking gulat din ni Loki Ababay na ang kanyang nahuli lang ay isang maliit na ibon at ang nahuli ni Loki Amamay ay isang mataba at malusog na usa. At ang usang nahuli ni Loki Amamay ay kanya lamang sinolo at hindi niya binigyan ng kanyang asawa. Nung makaraan ng ilang araw, nalaman ito ni Loki Ababay kaya pinagpasyahan na hindi na sumama sa pagtingin ng kanilang mga nahuli. At yung isang araw ay nanaginip siya na pinakain niya ng trigo ang kanyang munting ibon na nahuli at nangitlog ito ng ginto. At yun ay nagkatotoo rin kaya nakapagdesisyon siya na iwanan si Loki Amamay at magsimula ng bagong buhay. At nung malaman ni Loki Amamay na ang naging buhay ni Loki Ababay na nakapagpatayo siya ng isang malaking palasyo ay sinubukan niyang pumunta at makipagbalikan dito. Ngunit alam ito ni Loki Ababay kaya sinabihan niya ang kanyang mga tauhan at gwardiya na wag papapasukin si Loki Amamay.
Okay, maraming salamat. Congratulations. Ano lang, konting clarification lang. Ang pangalan ng lalaki sa kwento ay Loki Amama, hindi Mamay. Si Loki Ababay yung babae. Okay? But again, Flor, maraming salamat sa iyong pagbubuod para dito sa ating klase. Okay, ngayon, well, again, kaya yung sinabi nyo kanina, ang mga karakter na yun ay mag-asawa, pero hindi maganda yung pagkakaugnayan nila kasi nga yung lalaki o yung bana medyo ganit o medyo mapangkamkam. Ngayon, Jemar, kung ikaw yung pagbibigyan ng pagkakataon, babaguhin mo ba yung sabihin natin huling bahagi ng kwento? Bibigyan mo ba yung happy ending?
Opo, sir.
Bakit?
Bibigyan, gusto ko po sana yung ending is mapapatawad nung babae po yung lalaki para magkaroon ho ng happy ending at para magkaroon ho sila ng happy family.
Ganun ba? Okay, Fleur, sumasang-ayon ka ba sa sinabi ni Jemar na kailangang magpalikan sila Loki sa Ababay at Loki sa Mama?
Opo, sumasang-ayon.
Doon sa LMS ninyo, papakita ko sa inyo ngayon ha, sandali lang. Okay. Sa loob ng LMS nyo, makikita nyo ito. Dali lang ha. Okay, sa loob ng LMS nyo, particular na sa inyong sa kurso ng grade 7 Filipino, makikita nyo ang isang tab na tinatawag na sagutin natin. Ang gusto kong gawin nyo, i-click nyo ang link na ito o i-click nyo ang tab na ito at saka sagutan ang mga tanong na nasa loob. Bibigyan kayo ng 5 minuto ng LMS upang sagutin ito. Okay? Okay, good. May sabihin niyo lang ako kung tapos na kayo kasi the earlier the better. Okay?
Okay po.
Sige. Magsimula na kayo. Okay, very
Tapos
good
na
then.
po.
Okay, magaling. Then submit all and finish. Okay? Okay, maraming salamat. Pwede mo nang ibalik dito sa atin. Okay, magaling. Ngayon, bago tayo magtapos sa ating live session, may mga reflective questions na ako itatanong, okay? Okay, good. Now, Flor, simulan natin sa iyo. Ano yung mga kaugaliang itinatampok sa nasabing kwentong bayan?
Isa sa mga kaugaliang pinagtampok sa kwentong bayang binasa ko ay ang kaugalian ng mga Pilipino sa sinaunang panahon na ang pamumuhay nila bilang isang mga ngaso.
Okay, magaling, magaling. Ano pa? How about katangian? Cristel, anong klaseng mga katangian ang ipinapakita? Halimbawa, sabihin natin kay Lopez ang mama o yung bana. Ano yung klaseng katangian na ipinapakita doon?
Yung katangiang napakita doon ay negatibo, ang pagiging makasarili at o paggagamit ng kanyang bana sa kanyang asawa, at isa na din yun ang pagiging madamot po.
Okay, maraming salamat. Well, Jemar, may kakilala ka ba na may kaparehong ugali ng bana dun sa kwento?
Po, yung kapitbahay po namin, sir.
Ganun ba? Napatunayan mo ba na ganun yung katangian ng kapitbahay mo?
Opo, base po sa mga chismis po.
Sa chismis. Pero again,
Opo.
mga bata, huwag tayo agad naniniwala sa chismis, ha? Kailangan may patunay tayo bago natin alam ito. At pag nalaman natin na medyo ganito yung ugali ng kakilala natin, o for example, yung kapitbahay mo, Jemar, pwede mo siyang sabihan ng maayos para malaman naman niya, okay? At
sir.
Okay, very good. At kagaya din ng mensaheng ipinahihiwatig ng kwentong ito, kailangan maging mapagbigay tayo, pero sa mga tamang pagkakataon lamang. May mga pagkakataon na hindi tayo dapat maging mapagbigay. Pero, kung maaari, gawin natin ito kung kinakailangan o kung yung taong iyon ay nangangailangan talaga. Nakuha?
Opo.
Okay, magaling. Ngayon, bago tayo magtapos, may mga gusto ba kayong itanong?
Wala po.
Okay, wala na. How about ikaw, Cristel? May itatanong ka pa ba?
Wala po.
Okay, maraming salamat. Ngayon, manalangin tayo para sa ating pampinig na bahagi ng ating live session, okay? Manalangin tayo sa ngalan ng Ama, ng Anak, ng Espiritu Santo. Amen. Kabanal-banalang puso ni Jesus, kaawaan niyo po kami. Kabanal-banalang puso ni Jesus,
Kaawaan niyo po kami.
sa ngalan ng Ama, ng Anak, ng Espiritu Santo. Amen. Alam na.
Paalam.
MCHS is online learning ready.
Mintal Comprehensive will remain unstoppable, not because it did not experience challenges and doubts, but because it continued despite them. Therefore, it is the courage to continue and explore possibilities that count.
Laging handa, laging handa. Laging handa. Baha tagtuyot sunog lindol bagyo. Mga kalamidad na likas sa ating mundo. Napapahamak ang buhay at kabuhayan. Kaya naman kailangan ng paghandaan.
Maging handa, maging alerto. Tungkulin to ng bawat mamamayan. Kaya tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat dapat na maging laging handa. Tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat dapat na maging laging handa. Laging handa.
Kalamidad ay maaasahang darating.
Sa di inaasahang oras,
Kaya naman hindi na dapat hintayin. Unahan na habang di pa natataranta.
maging handa, maging alerto. Tungkulin to ng bawat mamamayan. Kaya tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat dapat na maging laging handa. Tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat dapat na maging laging handa.
Suriin mo iyong kapaligiran. Saan ka pa nakatira? Diyan ba ay bumabaha? Tuwing gamot pagkain, tungod pang silbi, first aid kit. Mga gamit paligtas ng buhay dapat mabitbit. At sakaling mundo, sumamog sa ka. Meron bang magandaanan talayo sa kasawian? Panahon ay nagpit at ang hangin hagupit. Ay buti na lang ang tayo ay laging nakahanda.
Kilos na, lika na, gawin na po ang karapat dapat na maging laging handa. Tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat dapat na maging laging handa.
This message is brought to you by the Department of Education with the support of World Vision Development Foundation.
Full straight.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, good morning everyone. I'm presenting on WASH, water sanitation hygiene, schools in the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you for this opportunity to be able to share this very particular important dimension of our work in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. So for this presentation, I aim to describe the links between WASH and the COVID-19 response in the education setting, delineate strategic washing schools action at the local level for the COVID response. We understand the participants are from the region that are from the subnational level. Then describe links as well of washing schools to the broader community response to the COVID-19 pandemic. So we'll have four major topics for this presentation. One is a rationale for washing schools in the COVID response. Why do we need WASH in the COVID response? And I think the past presentations have particularly underlined that. We will further focus on WASH on that. Then key strategies for washing schools against the COVID-19. And then we go into more specific provisions against the COVID-19. And then sharing with you also school relevant infection prevention control measures in community setting that has been from DOH and the World Health Organization. So in terms of water sanitation and hygiene, there are few key things that we need to be able to take note of. And I think the first one is something that has been mentioned, that has been particularly underlined earlier. First is that frequent and proper hand washing with soap and running water is the single most effective way to prevent infection. This is in cognizance of the transmission of the process by which COVID-19 is transmitted, and that has been explained earlier by Dr. Pahe and also touched on by General De Leon and by Dr. Chris. And while there are other measures like wearing masks while social distancing, frequent hand washing, and especially with soap and running water, is actually the most fundamental way to prevent infection. In addition, environmental cleaning is an essential component of infection prevention and control measures. So outside of ourselves, we need to be able to control the surroundings. Especially the context of children who touch just about anything that they can touch in our schools. We must note as well that COVID has not been detected in chlorine treated drinking water. This is particularly underlined. It's chlorine treated, particularly meaning safe drinking water by WHO and DOH standard. Water is not is able to fight actually the contamination of COVID, given the standard chlorine content, residual content in standard water, safe drinking water that we have. But if water is not treated, then there's a greater chance of it being contaminated. While COVID-19 has been detected in feces sa tae, there is no evidence of fecal oral transmission of COVID. So this particular part still has to be studied, whether feces contact with feces would cause contamination. As right now, there's no evidence yet of transmission via feces. Thus, it is safely managing water supply and sanitation remains important to prevent contamination and for public health benefits. I've explained earlier how to prevent contamination, but at the same time, let me emphasize the benefits of managing clean water and sanitation for general public health benefits, especially in the for children, as it's having safe water, it's having proper sanitation facilities and practices. The children are prevented from other infections, and thus have been more vulnerable to other infections. Then let me now talk about our schools, particularly in terms of education continuity. One of the key things that we are losing out with the COVID pandemic is the opportunity for education, the opportunity for children to enjoy for socialization and for learning in schools. And that's one of the first things that we aim for in a emergency, particularly with this pandemic, is to be able to get our children back to school as soon as possible. But it's not just getting back our children back to school as soon as possible, but it's also being able to make sure that our schools are prepared for the return of our children, of our teachers. And that would mean creating a safe and clean environment, and in particularly making sure that in school we reduce their vulnerabilities, we increase the resilience through critical infection prevention and control measures to be implemented. This is the very DRR part of it, really, that in getting children back to school and through measures through water sanitation, hygiene, and infection prevention control measures, we are actually reducing the vulnerabilities of children, increasing the resilience that in the face of the dangers of this pandemic, that they be able to protect themselves, and that they be able have the strength to be able to overcome these risks. But at the same time, as we bring our children to schools and make our schools prepare our schools for their return, we have to see our schools as well as venues for hygiene behavior change. That in school, that's where children would have the opportunity to gain knowledge, and for us to be able to motivate them for hand washing, and at the same time providing facilities and the supplies that would ensure the opportunity for them to practice proper hygiene. Right now, what is driving our practice of hand washing is fear. But once that fear is gone, the next question is what would be motivating people, particularly our children, to wash their hands still. At the same time, how are we enabling them to have that opportunity to be able to practice proper hygiene in school? Do we have enough facilities and supplies? And is there the time and schedule for them to be able to practice that? Thus, we have to look at our Depth Ed Wash in Schools program against the COVID-19. And fortunately, that program is very well established now in the Department of Education. Though in many ways, still some other areas still need strengthening, and some other areas are already way ahead of others. But one thing we have to look at it first is that washing schools is a pillar of the comprehensive OKSA DepEd program, and that is something that we have to be doing alongside other interventions, and that there are other that this as washing schools as a. Can somebody please turn off the microphone and turn it away from a wind source? Thank you very much. So what I'm trying to point out is washing schools is something we should be doing as something as regular as teaching pupils. And that the Department of Education already has the mechanisms and tools for schools to be able to implement washing schools, particularly the hygiene component. We have the national standards, the WINS 3-star approach, and the WINS online monitoring system. That if there are other sectors within the Department of Education that are not familiar with these things, the very first step actually out after this webinar is to be able to is to make sure that these sectors are become familiar with washing schools. Now, the urgency for washing schools is further underlined by current data from the washing schools online monitoring system. And what you see in the screen is the latest data from the Depth Ed Washing Schools online monitoring system. Particularly for hygiene, for the COVID pandemic, we're looking at particularly critical indicators such as access to water for cleaning, not so much water for drinking, as in this COVID pandemic, what is more important is actually quantity of safe water for hand washing and for cleaning. While without diminishing the importance of safe drinking water, as I've said earlier, what we need to be able to focus on, particularly in the context of schools, is access to water for cleaning and hand washing. The next component is regular supply of soap for for hand washing. And the third one is the availability of group hand washing facilities. And just to go through the data, we still have schools that will have no access for water, and many schools do not have them as well on a regular basis. More than half of them still just have water in a few hours or few days within a week. We still have almost a quarter of the schools, public schools, that have no regular supply of soap, and another quarter of schools that do not have group hand washing facilities. And this spells to us what should be priorities in terms of facilities improvement, in terms of materials for school operations. And while this data is from the national level, the encouragement here, the key message here is that each division, each regional office should be start looking at their data on washing schools. Now, let's talk about key strategies for washing schools. And here, we're not just pointing to washing schools within the schools, but at the same time, how washing schools figures as part of the work within the school, within the division office and the regional office, and at the same time in the broader communities or localities that the schools are part of. That's why the very first strategy that's there is the participation of the school sector in coordinating systems. And I would that while our DRR coordinators are more or less involved in DRR initiatives within the school and the division office or the regional office, and with the LGUs, I wish to underline the need for school leaders and health staff to be able to step up and put themselves in a position to participate in local DRRM committees. Washing schools should be part of local COVID response and recovery plans, whether in the context of bringing back children to school, and also with the potential use, particularly of schools as quarantine sites. So this underlies particularly the need for us to be able to influence decision making by the local government units, whether at the barangay, at the municipal and provincial levels. And participating in coordinating systems also allows us in the school sector to strengthen our partnerships and linkages with other actors for direct support, and at the same time for the out of school learner support services that would be needed for our children and for their families. Often, and it has always been pointed out by schools that we teach our children good hygiene habits in the schools, and yet when they get home, the behavior is undermined by the practices within the home. That is something certainly that we need to be, that while that is something outside of the school, that is certainly something that the school can help with ensuring that those messages, the practices developed in the school are maintained and sustained within the households. The next one is that we need to assess capacities and gaps, both at the school and division levels. I particularly point out school and division levels because this is where the real action happens. And it's not to diminish the participation of the regional offices. What we need to assess would be the knowledge of COVID infection prevention control measures. This webinar is particularly important for that, particularly the details of the earlier presentation with regard that we have provided in terms of infection prevention control measures, and the need to further strengthen the knowledge for this. This is this webinar and the discussions and participation in local DRR committees would be important opportunities to strengthen that knowledge. Apart from the knowledge, from that knowledge, we need to be familiar. We need to see how much is the familiarity with local guidelines and procedures. different LGUs would have their own different takes and would have their own ways, given the different contexts. And that is something that the schools and division levels should be able to be familiar with. We would need to assess readiness of action teams within the schools and the division offices, for the division offices to respond. And we need to be able to assess functionality of wash facilities and availability of supplies, for which, as I said, one of the first things that we need to do again is look at the data that we have in our regions, in our divisions. Next is, of course, after assessing, we need to be able to improve our facilities, provide supplies, be able to, and when we say provide supplies, regular supplies. So schools have to, the division offices have to be able to facilitate with the schools, and strengthen the supply chains for soap, disinfectants, and water. To do this, we need to update our washing schools assessment at the school division levels, use the data for planning and budgeting, and put in washing schools in our operation plans, particularly in terms of daily cleaning, operation and maintenance, and others. We need to do capacity building for managers and implementers, managers at the division level, and the implementers at the school level, on washing schools implementation, hygiene for our teachers, hygiene education in the curriculum, and broadly infection prevention and control in the school and in community spaces. Next is we need to be able to monitor the functionality of facilities and practices. And let me underline practices, as we often found that while there may be facilities, practices don't follow naturally. So, but facilities, supplies are important so that their opportunity to wash hands is there. Using data, we need to be able to focus on specific school gaps, particularly water supply, which is one of those components that still need a lot of strengthening in terms of accessibility and soap availability. Now, specific washing schools provisions against COVID, and there are several of them, but I'd like to focus on particular ones. First, in terms of water, I mentioned it earlier, quantity is more important. It's important to have chlorine treatment of drinking water. There is a need for safe storage and dispensing. We need to have clean containers, and that when water is being dispensed, make sure that these are not at risk of contamination. So containers need, particularly for drinking water, needs to have faucet. We encourage the use of personal reusable bottles instead of shared drinking cups. And this one is fairly consistent with our washing schools 3-star indicators. Those are familiar with the 3-star approach says that the very first step for providing drinking water is to ask children to bring their own water in their own water bottles from safe sources in their houses or in the communities, and that makes a lot more sense now. For personal hygiene, it's important that we provide children the opportunity to be able to wash their hands, and that means having the time and the facilities and the schedule for that. So daily supervised group hand washing to practice proper hand washing still remains very important at this point, especially if we have to drill down the proper techniques to make sure that all surfaces of the hands, especially the fingertips that are usually neglected, would be washed. There's of course the individual hand washing with soap at critical times. The ones who are familiar with this would see 5 for children after using the toilet, after playing, after touching pets, then before eating or before handling anything that is put in the mouth, particularly food, before food preparation, that is. We may add in the full school context, after cleaning, after groundskeeping, we often send our children to do gardening and cutting of grass, picking of waste. That's another critical uh, uh, time for hand washing. But at the same time, it's a plus. As now, it's as often as they can, and the the new normal, has been pointed out, is that the danger, the risk of contamination is always anywhere if we're touching anything that's contaminated. Therefore, often and always washing their hands is now at critical times. Thus, we need to be able to put hand washing facilities in strategic places, uh, within or near toilets, within eating places, somewhere children are playing or doing their activities, um, even at the entrance, somewhere near the entrance of the schools, would be something that would be strategic. We need to be able to deliver hygiene lessons and psycho-emotional triggers and visual cues. So we need to be able to remind children through IEC materials. We need to be able to remind children through psycho-emotional triggers. And as I said, right now, it's the psycho-emotional trigger is mainly fear, but we need to be able to provide other triggers, such as disgust for dirty hands, or just that feeling of cleanliness and confidence, but in having clean hands, would be something we can develop in our pupils, to enable them to wash their hands as often as possible. So the next few slides, I'm not going to discuss this, but these are actually the slides from the online webinar of the held by the DOH with support from the World Health Organization, UNICEF, and the USAID. And these are specific slides on guidelines on hand hygiene, when to perform hand hygiene. This PowerPoint presentation will be provided to everyone, so encourage you to look at this further. There's the critical times for hand washing. There's this respiratory hygiene for coughing and sneezing. Let me just note at this particular point, the last two items in that enumeration, that while wearing of mask is recommended if one has respiratory symptoms, perhaps in the school we see that it's best in the school setting for pupils and teachers to stay home if they have respiratory symptoms. We don't want to risk anything on that. Next is waste management. As much as possible, we want children and teachers and school staff to have to refrain from contact with anything that is that would pose any threat of contamination. And that means one way is to actually have pedal operated waste bins, yung inaapakan lang, or open waste bins. And having waste bins in strategic places like toilets, classrooms, activity areas. But aside from having these bins out there, we need to be able to dispose of them. So garbage collection by the school and disposing them somewhere. The most ideal is garbage collection by the community or by the local government unit for final disposal. In terms of sanitation, we need improved latrines, an adequate number of clean and functional toilets, so that children would be able to properly practice proper hygiene. Then waste bins, as I said earlier, for safe disposal, particularly of menstrual pad hygiene products inside the toilets, tissue, including, and other things that we use for cleaning. Frequent disinfection of toilets and often touch surfaces therein, such as doorknobs, including the valve of the faucet. We need proper drainage and wastewater disposal or treatment so that any leak fluid that has risk of contamination can be properly disposed of. And of course, we need regular and proper dislodging of toilets. Let me add as well, in terms of food safety, those familiar with the DepEd Order number 10, the Comprehensive Washing Schools policy, would see that these are the same components they're in. And at the same time, I think this is where the Philippines is actually, we are proudly ahead of, is that these are guidance from these are similarly reflected in global guidance on washing schools. And that includes food safety. And all the more that this is important. That's why we recommend proper hand hygiene for food preparers or handlers, include those in the canteens and those participating, helping out in school feeding. Masks should be worn by food handlers. We don't necessarily recommend wearing of gloves because gloves create this false sense of security. But more important is that food handlers, food preparers are properly washing their hands. There is a need to thorough washing of eating utensils. And at best, if students, pupils, teachers can bring their personal reusable eating utensils. There's a need for physical distancing, particularly during meals. And we need warm, thoroughly cooked food, as has already been mentioned by Dr. Pahe earlier. In terms of environmental cleaning, there's a need for schools to prepare equipment and protective equipment for cleaners. I will show you some of the DOH regulations later on. There has to be a cleaning and disinfection schedule, and cleaning and disinfection as often as there is of often touched surfaces, such as door handles, writing desks, lunch tables, and of classrooms and toilets in general. So here, papasadahan ko lang po ito. These are the ones that are coming out from the DOH and the WHO. What are the equipment needed in schools? You can look them up. I've mentioned most of them. Then personal protective equipment for sanitary staff for schools, particularly cleaners should wear a face mask, reusable rubber gloves, a splash-proof apron, and closed shoes, rubber boots, and not sandals or slippers. For cleaning and disinfection, please look at the distinction between cleaning and disinfection. Then there was a question earlier, and this was also presented earlier, what constitutes an effective disinfectant solution? It's here. What are these cleaning and disinfecting practices? It can be there. You can look this up later on. Now, what if someone is particular? I would just particularly like to underline this. If someone in the building is sick, okay, this is very applicable to schools. So it's the first step is to close off all areas used by the sick person, open outside doors and windows to increase air circulation. In principle, by the way, ventilation is very important. In proper ventilation is important, very important in infection prevention and control of COVID. Cleaning and disinfection within 24 hours. After 24 hours, if the area can be vacated. And remember, of course, the following measures that I have mentioned earlier. Now, this one is for general misting and outdoor spraying. You will see the reds, the not. So, as emphasized, COVID is not an airborne virus. Let us all, it's not, it's via droplets. So they do not remain suspended in the air. So spraying is not needed at this time. In fact, spraying can cause pathogens to be dispersed further, and it can be unhealthy to both people and the environment. It should be avoided. But there can be targeted spraying for potentially contaminated areas, which may consider according to risk assessment of the level of pollution, contamination within the context, in this case, the schools. So as I mentioned already, solid waste collection is important. The commonly touched surfaces and common access roads or hallways leading to and from authorized open area or public spaces which are allowed to operate, which is very applicable to schools in this case. But care must be taken to prevent direct exposure of the public to the disinfectant application. So when we're doing disinfection, the most important thing is that children and other people are not there, and whoever is doing it has protective equipment. Misting and spraying individuals has been mentioned already, is not recommended, etc. I'll leave you to look at this later. Just additional measures for schools and other community spaces. Determine staff or community members or high risk for severe illness, particularly amongst our teachers and teaching staffs, children who are also vulnerable. Post signs, make sure the information is correct as well. Limit events and meetings within the school. So wala muna pong mga flag ceremony na pinag-iipon-ipon yung mga bata. And this is where really we're going to be challenged, because physical distancing will be very much, as been pointed out, will be something of a normal in our schools, and something we need to be able to devise ways or measures around. Stay up to date on the developments of your community. This is where participation in DRR committees in the barangay or the municipality or province is important for the Department of Education. Create an emergency plan, and of course, bring people together who would be implementing such plan, and identify areas and identify and assess which staff and community members are at high risk and plan accordingly. Now, in terms of resources, this is where you can find more. Hopefully soon within the month, I hope NEAP can already roll out the massive online open course on WASH in schools, which we titled Leading Wins. Practically everything you need to know on the DepEd WASH in schools program is in there. For additional resources, if you ask, ano pong gagawin naming water source? Ano pong klaseng group hand washing facility designs pwede namin magawa at the local level? Ano pong mga posters, messages po kailangan namin? You have the DepEd Washing Schools website and the booklets therein. There's the link. We have 4 booklets there on water, hygiene, sanitation, and deworming. We also have this knowledge map on WASH and coronavirus. This is a global resource. It provides you with practically whatever it is that you can find across the globe that is being put out there as teaching materials, IEC materials, whatever I think you practically need, and they are all in QR codes, so they're very much easily accessible if you access that site. Then Dr. Chris pointed out earlier the WHO guidance for schools. You can also look that up. So hanggang dyan po muna. If there are any questions, we're very happy to.
Laging handa. Laging handa. Bahatag tuyot, sunog, lindol, bagyo. Mga kalamidad na likas sa ating mundo. Napapahamak ang buhay at kabuhayan. Kaya naman kailangan ngang paghandaan.
Maging handa, maging alerto. Tungkulin to ng bawat mamamayan. Kaya tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat dapat na maging laging handa. Tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat dapat na maging laging handa. di inaasahang oras.
Kaya naman hindi na dapat hintayin. Unahan na habang di pa natataranta.
Maging handa, maging alerto. Tungkulin to ng bawat mamamayan. Kaya tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat-dapat nang maging laging handa. Tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat-dapat nang maging laging handa. Suriin mo mabuti ang iyong kapaligiran. Saan ka pa nakatira? Diyan ba ay bumabaha? Tuwing gamot pagkain, kumot pang sindi, first aid kit, mga gamit panligtas ng buhay dapat mabitbit. At sakaling lumindol o sumabog ang bulkan, meron bang matagdaanan palayo sa kasawian? Panahon ay malupit at ang hangin hagupit. Mabuti na lang na tayo ay laging nakahanda. Tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat-dapat nang maging laging handa. Tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat-dapat nang maging laging handa.
This message was brought to you by the Department of Education with the support of World Vision Development Foundation.
Panatilihing malinis ang ating katawan. Resistensya natin ay dapat palakasin. Sama-sama, tulong-tulong, nating labanan ang COVID-19. Kaya natin to, wag lang matakot. Kung sama-sama ay walang problema. Palagi ang maghugas ng mga kamay gamit ang sabon at malinis na tubig. Sama-sama, tulong-tulong, nating labanan ang COVID-19. Kaya natin to, wag lang matakot. Kung sama-sama ay walang problema. Sa may sakit, ika'y dumistansya para di ka mahawa. Kung uubo at babahing, bibig at ilong iyong takpan. Sama-sama, tulong-tulong, nating labanan ang COVID-19. Kaya natin to, wag lang matakot. Kung sama-sama ay walang problema. Labanan ang COVID, kaya natin to.
Para sa karagdagang impormasyon, pumunta sa doh.gov.ph o sundan ang official DOH Facebook page.
Laging handa. Laging handa. Baha, tagtuyot, sunog, lindol, bagyo. Mga kalamidad na likas sa ating mundo. Napapahamak ang buhay at kabuhayan. Kaya naman kailangan ng paghandaan.
Maging handa, maging alerto. Tungkulin to ng bawat mamamayan. Kaya tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat-dapat na maging laging handa. Tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat-dapat na maging laging handa. sa di inaasahang oras.
Kaya naman hindi na dapat hintayin. Unahan na habang di pa natataranta.
Maging handa, maging alerto. Tungkulin to ng bawat mamamayan. Kaya tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat-dapat nang maging laging handa. Tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat-dapat nang maging laging handa. Suriin mo mabuti ang iyong kapaligiran. Saan ka ba nakatira? Diyan ba ay bumabaha? Tuwing gamot, pagkain, kumot, pangsindi, first aid kit. Mga gamit panligtas ng buhay dapat mabitbit. At sakaling lumindol o sumabog ang bulkan, meron bang matagdaanan palayo sa kasawian? Panahon na ay malupit at ang hangin hagupit. Mabuti na lang na tayo ay laging nakahanda. Tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat-dapat nang maging laging handa. Tara na, kilos na, lika na, tumulong tayo. Gawin na po ang karapat-dapat nang maging laging handa.
This message was brought to you by the Department of Education with the support of World Vision Development Foundation.
And we are back po live na live from the Office of the Curriculum and Learning Management Division, DepEd Regional Office 11. And nagpapasalamat po kami sa DRRM ng DepEd with a special participation or partnership with DOH for sending us the videos regarding COVID-19 pandemic, kung ano po yung dapat natin gawin at paghahanda na dapat natin gawin para hindi po tayo magkasakit. And of course, the video na ating official jingle for our program na Handang Isip, Handa Bukas. Maraming salamat po. And of course, special mention din sa ESSD or the Education Support Services Division for assisting us in getting all of those videos. Alright, so ang oras po natin ay 11:26 in the morning. Ang ating mga monitoring teams po ay nasa field pa rin para i-monitor ang dry run implementation ng Distance Learning Delivery Modalities or DLDM. It is still in line with the program of DepEd Central Office, the Handang Isip, Handa Bukas program. At ang ating mga monitoring teams ay nasa field at medyo shaky at wala po silang internet connection as of the moment. Kaya mamayang hapon pa po natin sila makakasama live on screen. At ang mga assigned schools po na pupuntahan ng ating monitoring teams for Davao City Division, papunta po ang team ni Dr. Roy Enriquez sa Davao City Special School and Kapitan Tomas Monteverde Elementary School. So papunta po dyan ang ating team and mamayang hapon ay magbibigay po sila ng updates. Sa team naman po nila Dr. Veloso na naka-assign naman sa Davao de Oro Division, tapos na po silang mag-monitor sa Nabunturan, sa Laak at sa Manggayon. Ngayon naman, makakasama natin sila later para magbigay ng update sa dry run na ginagawa ng Alimadmad Integrated School, Bahi Elementary School, Panag Elementary School, and Samawa. Okay, so medyo mahirap pa po yung kanilang internet connection, kaya mamayang hapon pa po natin sila makakasama. Sa Davao del Norte Division naman po, makakasama natin mamaya live na live ang team ni Dr. Pedelino Huevos, kasama syempre ang kanyang mga members na sila Ma'am Mary Jane Mejorana, Dr. Isidra Despi, and Sir Leonidas Jimmy Hesoro at naka-schedule po na bibisitahin nila ang Santo Niño National High School, ang Rogelio P. Macadamdam Extension, Pipisan Elementary School, Gato Elementary School, and Santo Tomas Elementary School. Okay, so again, mahirap po yung kanilang signal doon. Kaya naman, bibigyan natin sila ng time para maghanda sa kanilang live report mamaya. Okay, so for the meantime ay mag-e-end muna kami sa aming live stream, pero babalik po kami mamaya mga 1:00 ng hapon para ipagpatuloy ang ating live monitoring sa dry run implementation of DLDM for school year 2020-2021. Hangarin po namin ipakita na ang schools ng DepEd Region 11 ay handang isip, handa bukas sa pagbubukas ng ating school year 2020-2021 this coming August 24, 2020.
Welcome to CLMD Connect. In support to the Comprehensive Region-Led Learning Continuity Plan LCP. I teach. Integrating technology academic community, the household. Ensuring every learner is safe and protected anytime, anywhere. Anchored on Sulong Idokalidad. This is DepEd Regional Office 11, delivering quality